have to pay me.
Time now for Drawing a Blank. Tom Brady's coming off post-Super Bowl knee surgery. We saw him going full speed in minicamp this week. He talked yesterday about what he's working on. Take a listen.
It was probably, something that was it certainly needed to be done, and there's a great outcome. So I'm very happy about that. I feel I'll be able to do some different things this year than I was able to do last year.
Oh, pray tell. Hey, Brandon, Tom Brady's comments on his off-season surgery are blank.
Sounds good, Jenna. That's what the answer is. You just saw LeBron James on the shop. He had Jay-Z come in, sit in a chair, and they talked. And LeBron said something interesting. He talked about, when you're a player and you go to that first camp, you'll never be 100% again. So I don't know why us players continue to tell ourselves this lie. I mean, I keep saying us, I'm retired, I'm done. But players, you always think you're going to get back to 100%. So as soon as you bring that car out of the garage, it's going to get rained on. Somebody's going to ding it when you park it. So you'll never be 100% again. So it sounds good. But as soon as you get to camp, you're going to be dealing with something. It's going to be an ankle. It's going to be a hamstring. It's going to be a quad. The best players in the world find a way to get it done, to play at a high level, dealing with something. So sounds good.
All right, so this is confounding for me. And listen, I am the show's historian and archivist, but Wilds is the Tom Brady resident historian and archivist. What is he talking about that his knee was preventing him from doing that he used to do in his career? Tom Brady's most famous runs all have one thing in common, Wilds. They're 6 inches forward on a quarterback sneak. So what was this, like a lack of agility or mobility hurting him in a way that I have forgotten? So help explain it to me, Wilds, because for the time being, this is quite confusing.
Well, sure. I'm happy to explain to you. Tom Brady is a mobile quarterback. He's had 3 100-yard rushing seasons back earlier in his career. The last 3 seasons in New England, he ran for 28 yards, 35 yards, and 34 yards. But in Tampa Bay, he only ran for 6 total yards. That means he fell off by a multiple of 5. So now that the knee is fixed, I'm looking at a return to greatness. Look for about a 30 to 37-yard season, 5 times as good as last year. The GOAT is back.
What is happening?
The GOAT is back.
Oh, my God.
Goats don't run. We talked about that yesterday, Wilds.
Oh, fair point.
Goats don't run. They just sit there, get older. Talk some LeBron James. He's changing numbers again. Career thus far.
Wow.
Oh, they play tonight?
Jordan Love has made his presence known at Packers OTAs. You know you've got the schedule tattooed on your back, Brandon. Don't act like you don't. Should Aaron Rodgers take notice of what Jordan Love is doing? And Fitzy.
On my leg.
Fitz magic. Is that a cicada in your beard?
It's my baby.
It is.
That's my
baby. It's gross. It is gross. I'm sorry. First
What is that, Jenna?
I'm sorry.
On a third.
Why is he on the Mac Jones workout plan, Brandon? Because that ain't the best workout plan.
He's on the Ben Roethlisberger.
No, Mac Jones is on the
worked out
fitness
just fine
plan.
for Big Ben. Obviously, Brandon, your boy's unbothered by the fact that he's got an animal on his face, is what I will call it. All right, we'll get to all that in a second. We got to start the NBA. Who knows what that was? Nuggets, Suns, game 2 and second verse, same as the first. Phoenix continues to look like the most balanced team in the playoffs, led by Chris Paul. 17 points for Chris Paul, 15 assists, 0 turnovers. Suns with 6 guys in double figures. That's why they rolled to a 25-point win. Another reason, Nuggets didn't show up. Here's head coach Michael Malone.
Saw one team that wanted to be here and play with a purpose and urgency, and one team that did not want to be here and play with no urgency. And that's why we got our ass kicked. This was an embarrassing performance from myself all the way through the last player. We're walking out of here with our heads held down, rightfully so. And there's a reason that their crowd is yelling Suns in 4, and they're calling for a sweep, because if we play like this back in Denver, this is going to be a really quick series. I felt we quit tonight, which is something you never want to see. So I guess for game 3, I'm just going to try to find guys that will at least go out there and leave it all on the line. I may have a hard time coming up with 5 guys that fill that, but these 2 games, these second halves, have really been disappointing, and that's an understatement.
Michael Malone, nothing if not honest in that press conference. Now back to CP3. How great was he? This is his 3rd playoff game with 15 points, 15 assists, and no turnovers. Guys, only Jason Kidd and Magic Johnson have had only 1 of those kind of games, and that was back 1991. So, Nick, what is the biggest takeaway from Game 2? CP3's dominance or the Nuggets coach Michael Malone ripping his own team?
Oh, I think it's Chris Paul. And listen, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And earlier this week on this show, in my less than most professional moment, I said, you know what, producers? Put on the bottom line, Brandon's been right about everything in the playoffs, because I'm sick of hearing about it. Well, I'm going to do it to myself. Put on the bottom line, Nick thinks Chris Paul's the MVP, not Jokic, because you're going to be hearing a lot about that today. Because did Michael Malone sound like he has the MVP on his team? Did Michael Malone sound like, guys, everything's fine. We're going back home. We got not only the best player in the series, we got the best player in the league on our team. He's about to get a shiny, big trophy that proves it. No, Michael Malone sounded worried and panicked because the best player in this series, the most valuable player in this series, the guy who knows how to win the most in this series, is the 6'0" point guard currently residing in the greater Phoenix area. Jenna, you showed that amazing stat about what Chris Paul did last night, about how it's been done 5 times in 35 years, 3 of which by Chris Paul. One of which, did you notice, when he was on the New Orleans Hornets, a team that no longer exists? He did it 13 years ago. Well, I've got another one for you. Guys to have at least 25 assists and 1 or fewer turnovers in consecutive playoff games. It's been done 3 times in the last 35 years. By Chris Paul again, and by Chris Paul again. He's the only guy to do it, and he's done it 3 separate times for different teams. Wilds, I understand that the story is going to be, for most people, about Michael Malone napalming his own team on the eve of his guy getting the MVP award actually presented to him. But to me, the story is the guy who should have gotten the MVP award presented to him last night, controlled every facet of that game for a Suns team that has now won 5 in a row. And in all 5 of those games, they've been up by 15 plus. In a few of them, they've been up by damn near 30. They have been dominating the last 10 days of these NBA playoffs.
See, I don't think Michael Malone just attacked his own team. I think he attacked first things first, because he knows that we are a very hot show in Denver. One of the hottest shows in Denver. There's a weather newscast that's a little hotter than us, but we are right there, and we are climbing the charts fast. And here's the thing, because I think Denver's players think exactly like how we think. It's like, we got the MVP, but our second best player was just, last time we saw him on the floor, he was on crutches shooting one-legged threes in warm-ups. And Michael Porter Jr. kind of looks a little bit hurt. He only had 11 points. We don't have what it takes. Just how the Lakers didn't have what it takes, and they had LeBron. But once your second star goes down, you probably don't have what it takes. So, we'll play with a little, we'll show up here, but this is not our year. And Michael Malone, Brandon, tried to squash that. He tried to start a new narrative